Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I made a video, was it yesterday or the day before, about fights going on for too long and how referees can stop fights, not just based on one punch, but an accumulation of punishment absorbed. And of course, this was on the back of the stoppage by Howard Foster of Joseph Parker against Fabio Wardley. Well, if ever there was an example of what I'm talking about, I watched it earlier today. It was a fight last night over in Canada between the undefeated Russian Artur Biyarslanov, Russian guy based in Canada, undefeated in 19 fights now. Bit of a prospect. He won a 10-round unanimous decision over the former IBF super-featherweight champion, 36-year-old from Kazakhstan, long-term based in the US, and that's Sergey Lipinets. Now, Lipinets absolutely fought his heart out. Miraculously, he won the final round because this guy is a warrior, an absolute warrior. And it was a 10-rounder. And had it been a 12-rounder, unbelievably, it would have been quite interesting to see the final two rounds. But I have to say, during this fight, I was thinking, for Christ's sake, pull Lipinets out. Either the referee or his corner need to pull him out, because he took a horrendous beating. Okay, now he's a former world champ, but he's lost 4 of his last 6. 2 of those were stoppages. One was back in 2021 to Boots Ennis. He got stopped in 6 rounds. No shame in that. He lost to Michael Rivera in 2023. He got stopped in 9 rounds earlier this year by Adam Azim. He does have a unanimous decision win over Robbie Davis Jr. That was last year, but it was 18 months ago, 18 months ago, whatever it was. But he's, Davis Jr. was at the end of his career. He's scored an 8th round retirement over Omar Figueroa Jr. as well. And that was back in 2022. That was the fight after the Boots Ennis fight. So there are he's been inactive. 6 fights in 4 years, 4.5 years is not a lot, of course. But he's just taking too much bloody punishment. I mean, the Adam Azim stoppage was, he was down in the 3rd round, wasn't he? There was points taken off, were there, for infringements, low blows, I think it was. And Azim stopped him in 9 rounds. And he took a beating there. Well, against Biyarslanov, he took another beating. He was over in the 4th round, I think, maybe. His eye began to blow up. His left eye began to blow up. Not as bad, but shades of Asim Rahman against Evander Holyfield all those years ago when he had that horrendous swelling above the eye. His eye was closed unsurprisingly, was closed by the end of the fight. He was battered throughout the fight, loads of body punches, especially the 4th and 5th round. I don't know why Biyarslanov stopped going to the body. I think maybe he was getting tired of hitting the guy. But Lipinets just hung tough. He just hung, an absolute warrior, this guy. And like I say, in the final round, despite he also had a gash on his forehead, which was pissing blood. Biyaslanov's trunks were virtually red, and it wasn't his blood, it was Lipinets. Gash on the forehead, eyes shut tight, been on the floor, and yet he won the final round. This is a guy who swings for the rafters. But when he gets tagged nowadays, and he like I say, he was a former super featherweight champ. He's now at 140, so he's fighting bigger men anyway. But when he gets tagged, he does feel it. He can be hurt. He can be floored. His punch resistance is probably on the wane. He's got something left. He's got that gatekeeper role. But does he really need to fight, really, anymore? I mean, he's 36. He's now got a record of 18 wins with 13 KOs, 5 defeats. 2 of them are by stoppage. And I repeat, he's lost 4 of his last 6. So maybe it's time for him to walk off into the sunset before the old punch drunkenness really does kick in. Because if he has any more fights, that's going to be a given, the CTE or whatever you call it. Now, the Russian Canadian, if that's what you want to call him, Artur Biyarslanov, Southpaw as opposed to orthodox Lipinets. He did everything that was asked of him. He's got 16 KOs in 20 wins. Does that flatter him slightly? I don't know, because the quality of his opposition hasn't been great. I think I'm right in saying most of his fights have been in Canada. I don't know, though. Did he start his career early in the US? I'm not sure. He may have had fights earlier on in the US, but then he came back to Canada. I don't know what his situation is. I don't know whether he's a Canadian citizen or what, but certainly most of his recent fights have been in Canada. And yeah, okay, this 10 rounds was good to get under your belt. It was for the North American Boxing Federation super lightweight title. So he gets a ranking, he gets a trinket. His previous fight was a 3rd round stoppage against Antonio Collado, who was 19-1 coming in. He beat Mohamed Mamouni, who many of us have seen fight before. He stopped him in 2 rounds. Mamouni's way past his best. And he's beaten another couple of, I think there's one other undefeated fighter he beat. I can't remember the name of the guy. This was over in Canada. But he's working towards that world ranking, towards the top 10 or 12, 140-pounders in the world. He's okay. He's good. He can fight. Got decent skills. Hits reasonably hard. But I do worry a little bit as to whether he'll be found out when he really moves up. He doesn't strike me as being someone who's going to reach the top echelon. He may pick up a belt. There's a lot to be said for maximising your talent. Sergey Lipinets was never an elite fighter, but he did pick up the IBF super-featherweight belt, back in the day, because hard work and perseverance and having a skip full of guts gets you a long way. And I think if Artur Biyarslanov does win a world title, it'll be because of those qualities, because he's got to show those qualities. But like I say, towards the end of this fight, I don't know whether his gas tank is naturally low or his conditioning maybe, or maybe just got frustrated at hitting Lipinets and Lipinets still coming back. Because in the last round, Lipinets was swinging. It's quite incredible to see. It's like, okay, this is the last round. Whatever I got left, I'm going to let it all hang out. And he did just that. And Biyarslanov was feeling it. That was by far his worst round. So I don't know. The jury is still out for Artur Biyarslanov, for me personally. I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. I'm not saying he can't be world class. But maybe the jury is still out. But he scored this win, which was decent. It's a good 10-rounder. He dominated it. He obviously got to put things that he's been working on in the gym into practice, which is good. And we may see him improve. He's 30. He's 30, not 22, 24, 25. He's 30. So, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, he turned pro in 2018. And he's had 20 fights now with the 16 KOs. Yeah. I'd like to see him step up and face someone who's a real threat to him now. The time is that he's 30 years of age, and you've had 20 fights. Let's see what you can do with someone who's not over the hill, not past their best, someone who's ambitious, someone who's fearless, someone who's going to come at you and try to win. I want to see that. So, yeah, I don't know whether you saw this fight, but if you did, do you agree with me about Lipinets should retire? I really wish he would. What do you think of Biyarslanov? Let me know. Comments below. Thanks again for tuning in. I always appreciate your time and your support. Please hit the like button if you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy weekend. Have fun. Get you later. Bye for now.